Hi, I'm Alex, founder of Product Career Accelerator and an ex-Google Group PM. Today we're talking about how to write a PM resume that actually gets you callbacks. And this is point number one. You got to change your mindset from I'm trying to get a job with this resume to I'm just trying to get callbacks from an interview. Your resume is only there to do one thing, and that's get the attention of the recruiter or the hiring manager. So everything that you do with your resume has to be tailored to that one goal, which is to maximize the chances that someone will actually look at your resume and decide to call you back. Which brings us to point number two, know your audience and make it easy. Whenever you're working on your resume, you're always trying to imagine it from the perspective of the hiring manager or the recruiter. Most of the time, if you're dealing with big companies, it's going to be recruiters. And recruiters are just trying to optimize for matching the elements in the job description. So they usually have 3, 4, or 5 things that they're trying to optimize for that the hiring manager gave them about the job description. They may or may not even always fully understand exactly what these are. The hiring manager said, try to bring me someone with regulatory and compliance background. They may not really think a whole lot about what that actually is and just try to match to the text. They're going to try to look at exactly that or something extremely similar. So just simplify their life and really try to make it easy for them to give you a call back. Focus on their needs and not yours. This brings us to point number 3, which is brevity. Again, your audience is either a recruiter or a hiring manager. They get dozens or hundreds of resumes every day, and no one has time to read all that. Resumes are always scanned and not read. Because of that, I usually recommend to make the resume as short as possible, usually 1 page or no more than 2 pages if you've got more than 10 years experience, and optimize it for the perspective of top-down scanning. That is to say, you should spend the most time optimizing the top portion of your resume to give the recruiter, who's going to realistically spend 7 to 10 seconds on your resume, the best chance to actually notice something that they can grab onto right away. Point number 4, make it clear. Simple formatting, no fancy, flashy anything, make it super readable, legible font, only bold a few things that are relevant to the job description. Again, your job with the resume is to allow the recruiter or hiring manager to scan your resume effectively, so just make it easy for them. Don't create super long bullet points that no one's going to read, 2, 3-line bullet points. If your bullet doesn't get read, it doesn't really contribute anything to your resume. I'm sure you got a lot of interesting and important details you want to share. You want to explain all the nuance, but unfortunately, it doesn't actually increase the likelihood that you're going to get a call back. So just focus on that. That means some details you're going to have to omit and just kind of keep it at a high level, focus on the impact. Get rid of all those half-a-page summaries, 3-line explanations about your educations and GPA and how you got a black belt in karate. All those fun things you can talk about when you actually get a callback. Once again, resume is only about the callback, nothing else. Inside Product Career Accelerator, we use a simple template that you can find below. It's like one of the first things that we're going to go right after your onboarding call is we're going to go through the resume with a fine-tooth comb, make sure that everything's optimized for callbacks. And we tend to use the most simple format that just has your contact info on top, 1 or 2 lines of your biggest hits, like 6 years experience at Google or this company, Tesla, this many clients onboarded, and so on, whatever expertise or vertical that you've got. Then below that, your job experiences with 3 to 7 bullet points per job. You can have fewer and fewer bullets for each successive jobs. And finish off with education, and that's pretty much it. A quick note on education, awards, coursework. I'm sure by now you can guess what I'm going to say. Keep it brief. Just keep it all in one line. No need to mention GPA if you've been out of school for a couple of years already and are working. No need to mention years of attendance. Just NYU, BS in business, or Berkeley, MS in engineering, or whatever you've got. If you've earned awards, then make sure that they actually make sense and sound impressive. Recruiter would want to know how many of these awards are given per unit of time and then how many people actually get that award. As an example, we have a client at PCA who got something like a double sigma award for innovation, and that really doesn't tell too much information. No one outside that company would actually know what that even is. Instead, if you say you're one of 5,000 people over 2 years who got this award, then suddenly that becomes quite impressive. So don't forget, put your best foot forward. Which brings us to point number 5, anchors. These are elements that raise your perceived standing or prestige with the reader. And this goes hand in hand with keeping things brief and clear. Just put the most important, most eye-catching elements of your experience or expertise in your resume. In the past, this might have been your fancy college name, and that still carries some weight also, but if you're applying for product management roles in tech companies, in the big tech companies, then the biggest proxy or statement of value is going to be other companies, other big companies and institutions that you've worked for. After that is going to be impact, dollars, number of users, growth, team size, and after that it might be specific areas of expertise or verticals or environments in which you've been successful. And of course, recognizable companies are better than non-recognizable companies. Big numbers are better than small numbers. Lots of different types of impact might be better than just one. But at the end of the day, just use what you've got. If you've been working for some time, just try to put the most recognizable elements of the things that you've done or the things that you've accomplished and bring that to the top. Next, number 6, customize, but don't rewrite your resume when applying to jobs fully. Again, let's remind ourselves what we're trying to do. We're trying to get callbacks from a recruiter who needs to find someone with a specific skill set, which means our resumes should ideally include some of the elements that are listed in the job description. But oftentimes, the product job description tend to be generic. They don't list any remarkable detail. They just sort of go over common product management stuff. You got to do stakeholder management, leadership, alignment, strategy, vision, etc. So when you see those job descriptions, don't try to optimize for 20 of those generic things that they say there. Instead, look for little hints such as bonus points if you're on an advertising team in the past, or preferred qualifications, must know SQL. Or if those things are missing, try to pick 3, 4, 5 elements that are less generic and really stand out to you, or you can highlight and match from your own experience. Those are the actual elements on the hiring manager's list, and you've got to do your best to find them and put them on the top of your resume. Number 7, geography. We'll go over the best locations for product management jobs in a separate video, but needless to say, these are primary tech hubs like San Francisco Bay Area or Seattle. In terms of resumes, if you're trying to apply for jobs in a different location, and if you're truly committed to moving from where you live over there, just put the geo of where the job is located or where you're headed, or just leave it blank. If you live in Arizona trying to move to California, just put California because, again, we're trying to make it easy for the recruiter and hiring manager to call you back. Any negative signals are a chance that they're going to reject or pass over the resume. So just make it easy for them to call you back. Lastly, number 8, which seems like a no-brainer, but it comes up enough that it needs to be said, make sure the role you're applying for is actually at the top of your resume. If you're trying to go for senior product manager, your resume should say at the top, senior product manager. If you're applying for a product management role, but you also have a background in program management, just say product management. Don't let the recruiter or hiring manager sit there and try to figure out, okay, 10 years of this experience, did they mean that it's 10 years means 5 years in product, 5 years in program? No, you're a product manager trying to land a product management job, just say it. And before we close out here, I want to set some expectations. At PCA, we always take a pragmatic approach, and setting expectations is important. And unfortunately, if you don't have recognizable names, if you don't have any significant impact behind your belt, and if your top third of the resume is not strong and not calibrated to the job description, you can expect to get very few callbacks, less than 1% often. The stronger your resume, the more perceived prestige and job alignment you can show. You can go from 3 to 5 to 7, even 10% callbacks. One of our clients hit 15% callbacks since her background is all big tech and she has some experiences with AI, which is all the rage right now. So she has a very, very high callback rate. This is not to discourage you, just to set expectations, to let you know to prepare with a marathon mindset. We're going to talk more about that in our next video, where we will cover applying for jobs and networking, since resume is just the first piece of the puzzle. See you there. Good luck.